Available now on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com is the book called DUI Jury Trial, which is the true story of a truck driver in Illinois who was charged with driving under the influence of alcohol. Not only was he facing a revocation of his driver's license, but also a lifetime disqualification of his commercial driver's license, which would prevent him from ever driving a semi-truck again. This book includes the backstories of the truck driver, the lawyers that defended his case, and the DUI expert witness who analyzed the case and then testified at trial as to the proper protocol procedures of the field sobriety test as well as the breathalyzer tests. This nonfiction novel also includes the actual court transcripts from the jury trial, a courtroom showdown in which the final verdict would determine the fate of the defendant's livelihood. The book DUI Jury Trial is now available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com.
Twin Zeros at 4870 North Harlem Avenue in Harwood Heights, Illinois. Check out the full menu at twinzeros.com. Twin Zeros Restaurant in Harwood Heights not only serves traditional gyros, but also has chicken gyro sandwiches. Twin Zeros also serves a variety of sandwiches ranging from cheeseburgers and Vienna beef hot dogs that have recently been inducted into the Vienna Beef Hot Dog Hall of Fame. Italian beef, Italian sausage, and combo sandwiches. To ethnic favorites such as Slovakia and Grecian chicken. Slovakia is shish kebabs, specifically chicken or pork shish kebabs, grilled to perfection, served on a warm pita with tomatoes, onions, and our homemade tzatziki sauce. You can also enjoy barbecue ribs served every day. Twins is open 7 days a week and also delivers locally. Located at 4870 North Harlem Avenue in Harwood Heights, check out the full menu at twinzeros.com. That's twinzeros.com.
Fixed bayonets, comrades. This is the Chief Guard of the Republic Veterans Radio Shoutout Show with your host, Chief Warrant Officer 5, retired Michael Francis Tuman, on WRMN 1410 AM, Fox River Valley Media Network. Studio call-in number 847-931-1410. As always, we'll be taking calls from any veteran or veterans group that wants to get their information out there. Remember, we are heard worldwide across the internet with the YouTube Live on WRMN's channel and on the app for WRMN 1410 out of Elgin. You can pick it up on your cell phone. So don't think that this is just going out to Elgin. This is going out worldwide. Today I have with me William Polineros. These non-Slavic names are really hard for me to pronounce. Anyway, so he's here. He used to run the show Four Corners Radio, so perhaps you remember him and bounce some ideas off him. But the main two subjects I want to talk about, other than I'm always ready to go off on a tangent or a legitimate tangent, if there's Paul, my most loyal listener. Hi, Paul. And out on any interesting tangent. But today's topics, I'd like to talk about: one, the Space Force, and two, TAP, which is the Transition Assistance Program, which seems to be on the chopping block for the Department of Defense. As a 38-year member of the military, one of my second to last tours was at the Pentagon. And when I was done with that tour, it was a long tour, they put me through the Transition Assistance Program, which is mandated at the time by Congress. Now, I'd already retired from one job. I was receiving a pension there. I had pretty much locked into my ways because I was well into my 50s. And I was just planning on doing more Army Reserve stuff. But I had to take this program before they would demobilize me and let me go home. So it's about teaching kids things that they should learn in high school, like balancing a checkbook, making a budget, filling out a job application, doing job interviews, right? Everything associated with that. How to survive in civilian life once you're outside of the Army. Because I'm talking about the Army, but the military pretty much, they'll take care of these kids for 3 to 4 years, or take care of us for 4 years, even some people for 20 years. But You join at 18, you do 20 years, you come out at 38, you're entering the job market, but you're very military focused on everything, and you expect to have the support of a military structure. You get out in civilian life, that isn't the case. This when the civilians are allowed to, when the servicemen are allowed to leave without any help in this, they don't fare as well. So I think it's an extremely important program. Probably saves the nation way more than they spend on it. But there's some short-sighted people that probably at the higher ranks that have spent their whole life in the government service and everything. They have no plan to be a civilian unless they've already lined up a job with a contractor or a job as a lobbyist coming out. So I think they're wearing blinders and they don't see the needs of the lesser soldiers who aren't lesser, the lesser ranking soldiers. They're probably more important than the 4 stars. So, Bill, do you have any opinion on that?
Hey, you know what? I jumped into this show, and I want to thank you for giving me a few minutes here. As many people know that when they listen to my old show, Four Corners Radio, which was on this time slot during the summer, and Mac McNeil was my producer. I want to give a big shout out to Mac. And I'm glad you took the time slot because I've listened to a couple of your episodes, and you're just doing a great job. And it's much different from any other talk radio program that's currently on. We avoid all the pitfalls of the politics and all this nonsense going on this season, which should subside shortly. But what I would love about your show, it's informative. And I was listening to your show about a week or 2 weeks ago, and you were talking about historical aspects like Custer's battles and some World War II battles. A lot of people just don't understand the backstories of these battles and why things happened and how they occurred and really cost people's lives. But my question, and I jumped in today, and even though I'm a Navy veteran too, I don't understand this Space Force. Hey, man, enlighten me and your listening public.
Okay, so we'll switch over. If you have a call on the TAP program, the Transition Assistance Program, assisting service members to transition to civilian life. You have a question on that, call up. I'll try to answer your question. But if you already know about it and you think you could look it up yourself, you think it's a good program, call your congressman, call your senators, make sure that stays, that is funded in the Department of Defense bill, because that comes out of the Department of Defense. Not everything goes for bullets and bombs. A lot of it goes to just keep our service members healthy and productive. All right, so Space Force. So back in 2019, President Trump, that was in December, so we're approaching the 5-year anniversary of Space Force, the 5-year plan. So President Trump signed into law, and it was approved by Congress, the establishment of a Space Force. It actually, we know we have the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force, and the Coast Guard, with the Marines being part of the Navy, basically the Navy's ground fighting force. And now you have the Space Force, which is part of the Air Force, and it is the arm of the Air Force that carries out the, the surveillance of space and making sure that we used to call it air superiority, but we want space superiority. And I'm not talking about Moonraker with James Bond with the shuttles and door gunners on the shuttles and laser weapons and everything out there, although it might come to some laser weapons. I'm talking about keeping track of all the satellites, the thousands and thousands of satellites up in orbit. Some of them are ours, some of them belong to our competitors. I don't say enemy right now. We're not really in a state of war. All right, so, but our competitors also have satellites up there, and they're used for intelligence and surveillance. We used to, back in the day when I drilled out at O'Hare at the intersection of Higgins and Manheim, we're a military intelligence unit, and they would get us come into the building, even if we're working out there, like everyone come into the building now, because a Soviet satellite was passing over, and then we didn't want them to be able to count the amount of soldiers we had out there. So that was almost 40 years ago when that was happening. We still have that. Now, the electronic methods, the cameras are so much better, but we've become highly reliant on them. GPS, geospatial, geopositional space, the thing you like to use on your phone and other things have become very important for us to find out where we are, know where we are, how to aim weapons, how to hit the targets, how far it is apart and everything. Back in the day, we used to do that with maps and compasses and protractors and stuff like that. And it took a minute. It took time. Now it's all electronic and built in, and you could just type in a coordinate and the gun will automatically aim, measure the wind, measure the density of the air and everything, fire off and drop a 155 millimeter howitzer round, 20 miles away into a garbage can, every single time. That's how accurate they are. But they're not that accurate once you get rid of all the satellites. So it's very important for us to know where the satellites are, to know if they're in danger, to assess the threats to them, to know which satellites are reaching their lifespan. They don't last forever. Like a car, things break on them, and they got to send up another one. So the Army used to track satellites. The Navy used to track satellites. The Air Force used to track satellites. And they said, hey, no one in the services, this happens with intelligence agencies and in the services. No one talks to each other. No one talks to each other. Oh, they're holding on to their information. Oh, we got this information. Should we share it? They're like, no. Then they'll know the same thing we do, and we'll be better because we know more. 3 minutes?
Yeah.
All right. So basically, the Space Force took all of those jobs, right? All of the satellite, everything above in the Earth's orbit there in the high outside of the atmosphere. Space Force tracks. And they analyze it, they keep it safe. They also guard the launch sites for these. These satellites are constantly going up, and they're in charge of the launch sites. So they use Air Force security and everything, but I think it was a great thing to establish. It was long overdue. It was 10 years overdue before they got it. So any callers, what I'd really love to have, it's been around for 5 years now, so someone has had to join the Space Force and get out. At least one person. Call in. Let me know your veteran's opinion, because you're a veteran. You're part of the Space Force. It's military service. You're a veteran. Call in. Let me know what you thought about your service time in the Space Force.
Absolutely, yeah. 847-931-1410 is the number to call. Got about 2 minutes left.
Oh, I'm talking pretty fast. You go 3 minutes. I'm like, oh my God, I better hurry up. Yeah. So, and the other questions, Bill.
Well, you know what? I didn't do much research, and I asked you the other day, and I wanted just to jump on the show and get these questions, because I'm sure somebody's got the same questions. They just don't have time to call in. And I understand people are busy. But especially if you're driving around. My last show here, so many people called in, I couldn't get back to them on the air. I had to call half dozen on the way home. And I asked them, why didn't you call last week or the week before? And they said, well, I was driving. Yeah, you don't want to have an accident and try to cell phone. So if you have questions, call in today. We're here till 1 o'clock. And my other question about satellites, isn't it true that not only government satellites, but there's private satellites out there too, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Private satellites, I mean, you make money on them. We had, the first satellites had to go up because only the government had the funds to send that up. I'm sure there were a couple very rich people that could have afforded their own space shot. Now we got Elon Musk. He's funding space shots. But back then, no one wanted to invest that amount of money for zero return.
Historically speaking, I think it was the Russians that launched the first satellite.
Sputnik. 1959.
There you go. And they were the ones that had the money and were able to go with this experiment, win, lose, or draw. But it worked out good for them, and we copied.
There we go.
What?
Oh, we'll take a quick timeout coming up soon. All right, folks, we'll be back. Stay tuned.
Every year in Illinois, over 30,000 drivers are arrested for DUI. Due to improper testing procedures, many people end up being wrongfully charged. The book DUIs Decoded cuts right to the chase and tells you how proper DUIs arrests are supposed to be made, from the initial traffic stop to the reasoning behind the field sobriety test, all the myths and facts about taking a breathalyzer, and more. DUIs Decoded is written by nationally recognized DUI expert witness William Polarinos. Available now at Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com.
If you have been charged with driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs in Cook County, DuPage County, or Lake County, Illinois, call the law office of Mark Sheblow at 773-775-5050. That's 773-775-5050. Attorney Mark Sheblow has over 29 years of law experience handling DUI defense, traffic violations, CDL violations, and Secretary of State driver's license reinstatement hearings. All aspects of your case will be examined in order to find evidence that may help your case, especially the statutory summary suspension of your driving privileges. If your breath alcohol concentration level at the time of the DUI arrest is 0.08 or more, then the summary suspension of your driver's license begins 46 days after the arrest. Time is a crucial factor in challenging the summary suspension of your driver's license. Our law office is located at 5945 North Elston Avenue in Chicago. That's 5945 North Elston Avenue in Chicago. And again, our office phone number is 773-775-5050.
Twin Zeros at 4870 North Harlem Avenue in Harwood Heights, Illinois. Check out the full menu at twinzeros.com. Twin Zeros Restaurant in Harwood Heights not only serves traditional gyros, but also has chicken gyro sandwiches. Twin Zeros also serves a variety of sandwiches ranging from cheeseburgers and Vienna beef hot dogs that have recently been inducted into the Vienna Beef Hot Dog Hall of Fame, Italian beef, Italian sausage, and combo sandwiches, to ethnic favorites such as Slovakia and Grecian chicken. Slovakia is shish kebabs, specifically chicken or pork shish kebabs, grilled to perfection, served on a warm pita with tomatoes, onions, and our homemade tzatziki sauce. You can also enjoy barbecue ribs served every day. Twins is open 7 days a week and also delivers locally. Located at 4870 North Harlem Avenue in Harwood Heights. Check out the full menu at twinzeros.com. That's twinzeros.com.
Real estate, be it residential or commercial, is often a person's most significant and priciest asset. Entering into a contract to buy or sell a real estate property is much more than just filling in the missing blanks on the printed contract. It's wise to hire a lawyer to prepare or review the offer to purchase real estate and take full advantage of his legal expertise. With Mark Sheblow, you will gain an attorney with over 26 years of legal practice and one who has helped thousands of clients to buy or sell their homes or investment property. We will safeguard your interests and might be able to even negotiate a better bargain than a client without proper legal counsel ever could. Oftentimes, a prospective buyer will submit an offer without first consulting an attorney, not realizing that once the offer is accepted by the seller, it becomes a binding contract, and the terms of that contract are not easy to be changed afterwards. Likewise, as a seller, you too will benefit from first consulting an attorney before signing. Feel free to call us for consultation at the law offices of Mark Sheblow at 773-775-5050. Our website is sheblowlawoffice.com. Mark Sheblow can be reached 6 days a week at 773-775-5050, Monday through Saturday, located at 5945 North Elston Avenue in Chicago. That's attorney Mark Sheblow, 773-775-5050.
Big Spanets, comrades. This is the Chief Guard of the Republic Veterans Radio Shoutout Show with your host, Michael Francis Tuman, retired CW5 U.S. Army Military Intelligence, coming to you on WRMN 1410 AM on the Fox River Valley Media Network. Our studio call-in number is 847-931-1410. As before we left for the commercials there, we were still talking about Space Force, and I'm still waiting for one of the Space Force veterans to call in. I mean, Chicagoland area is a large area. You know, Elgin out here in North Side, I know they got some good schools, so these kids pretty smart, probably got into a nice level of the Space Force. So one of the things, Space Force is a very small unit. I mean, an Army division is larger than the entire Space Force. So one of the things there is that you have almost an equal number of officers enlisted men and civilian employees. So that's about 13,000 total there. And seems like it would seem like a large number, and unless you've been in the service and you've seen the size of Fort Bragg, and that's one fort, and it's probably got about 30,000 people on it. I mean, I think maybe the next thing larger is probably Fort Hood, and they probably have about closer to 50,000. That's all the employees and the service members and everything. But the thing, it's unfortunate that right after Space Force came out, and I didn't watch the show, but I'm going to have to watch it. A comedy came out about Space Force, trying to equate it to something like Star Trek or something like that. And it's so off base that, to belittle something that really, really is so really important. I mean, when the electricity goes out, people don't have communication. The same thing happens. You could have all electricity in the world, satellite goes out, and you might be able to call locally. You're definitely not going to be able to call long distance, because you used to go through microwave relays along the highway. You could see them coming in on the Kennedy. What do they call it when it stops being the Kennedy? Get past O'Hare. Once you get past O'Hare, you see all the microwave relay towers out there, but they don't use those anymore. They're using satellite uplinks. So those satellites go, no communication unless you got the hard line. No internet. Internet used to be hard line too. Now it's all uplinked through the satellite. So I really like people to know that the Space Force was necessary. It was probably 10 years behind the line, and they've got some real good bases. They got them in Colorado, California. There's one down in Florida. It's really nice, right off the coast. They took over an Air Force base. So, okay. So no questions here for the Space Force.
Well, I got a little comment.
Yeah.
And it's important that they develop this Space Force, because really, Space Force protects the technology. And in the last 50 years, everything, especially the last 20 years, is technology-based. So, like recently, back in July, we had this CrowdStrike global outage. Do you recall this?
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
Okay, so I couldn't go to the bank. I couldn't pay my taxes. The banks were open, but they couldn't have no transactions, including ATMs. I believe I had internet, but I did not, or I had cable television, but I did not have internet. So you don't know what causes these technology failures, and we cannot afford a cyber attack. And I think that's some of the parameters of the Space Force, correct?
Well, yeah, one of the parameters, but you also have Cyber Command, which is a U.S. Army command. Used to be part of military intelligence, part of the NSA, but they created a Cyber Command specifically for ground-based networks to protect them. Although a lot of those networks transmit their information via the satellites, right? And what you're talking about is they're hitting servers. They're doing a denial of service on a server. They're hitting a server with too much information, so that none of the other information. If you keep ringing a guy's doorbell like all the time, how do you know when someone comes in and rings the doorbell? An actual person.
Electronic.
Yeah, because you're just throwing so much information there. I got music in my ear. It's throwing me off a little bit.
We're going to commercial break, right, man? 40 seconds. Tell them the phone line real quickly before we go.
847-931-1410. That's 847-931-1410.
Michael's taking questions until 1 o'clock today, correct, Mike?
Yes. Right up to the bitter end.
The bitter end. We'll be right back after commercial break.
Bender Dental Care, located at 217 North McLean Boulevard in Elgin. Bender Dental wants everyone to be informed, appreciated, and cared for at all times. To prove it, they now offer a new patient exam for just $29. That includes consult, x-ray, exam, and cleaning. Let Bender Dental help you have healthy teeth and gums for a lifetime. Located at 217 North McLean Boulevard in Elgin. Visit benderdentalcare.com.
Are you ready to take your brand to the next level? Image 360 South Elgin is your ultimate destination for custom signs and visual communication solutions. Looking to rebrand your office interior? Need striking vehicle wraps or decals for your fleet? Or perhaps you're in the market for a standout trade show display? At Image 360 South Elgin, they've got you covered. As your full-service custom sign and graphics partner, they deliver bold solutions and exceptional support. From outdoor signage to eye-catching store signs, indoor graphics to comprehensive branding solutions, they have the experience to elevate your brand's presence. Trust Image 360 to create a long-term partnership that gives your brand 360 degrees of exposure. Visit them at 506 Sundown Road in South Elgin. Image 360 South Elgin. Bold solutions, exceptional support.
Beef Villa is a family-owned restaurant that has been in business for over 50 years. With homemade recipes made with quality ingredients, Beef Villa's great service and quality is served hot and fast. For the menu, catering locations, or for an application to join the Beef Villa team, visit beefvilla.com. Saturdays mean cruise nights, weather permitting, on Spring Street in South Elgin. Visit beefvilla.com. Take a historic walk through the home of America's greatest showman, Al Ringling. Located in Baraboo, Wisconsin, you can view the grand opulence on a guided tour, now hourly starting 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Weekday tours begin on the veranda and on the weekends in the tap room of the Al Ringling Brewery. Behind the mansion, kick back and try a flight of craft beers and dine at this family-friendly stop. Visit alringlingmansion.com for more information. Take a historic walk through the home of America's greatest showman, Al Ringling. Located in Baraboo, Wisconsin, you can view the grand opulence on a guided tour, now hourly starting 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Weekday tours begin on the veranda and on the weekends in the tap room of the Al Ringling Brewery. Behind the mansion, kick back and try a flight of craft beers and dine at this family-friendly stop. Visit alringlingmansion.com for more information.
Roll into Bolero in Algonquin or Roselle and wake up with a story to tell. Bolero is bowling, gaming, dining, and nightlife with a twist. Score a sweet deal every day of the week and save big by checking out the daily deals online. Team up with your friends and hit the lanes by forming your own social club. Clubs offer lively competition and laid-back fun for everyone. From beginners to pros, make new friends, bowl, and hang out at a happening place. Visit bolero.com.
Overtime. You want to work less of it, so you need your crop protection to work more of it. When you add Taparan or Last Chance Pro adjuvants from CHS, they will. Designed for maximum efficacy, Last Chance Pro improves the uptake and translocation of herbicides, while Taparan helps activate herbicides for better performance against tough-to-control weeds. Ask your local CHS retailer how Taparan and Last Chance Pro adjuvants can put your crop protection to work.
Six Bayonets, comrades, this is your host, Michael Francis Tuman, CW5, retired from the U.S. Army Reserve, National Guard, some active time, 5 deployments, made it up to, like I said, Chief Warrant Officer 5, all the way from private, all the way up to grades. And when we, on WRMN, 1410 AM, Fox River Valley Media Network. Studio call-in number is 847-931-1410. Be the first to call in today.
Give us a call, yes. 847-931-1410. Or if you want to also announce a message as well, you can text it to our Image 360 info number, which is 505-926-4644. 1410. Again, that is 505-926-1410.
And let me jump in on this. William Pellerino's here. If you're just joining us, I am his guest today. And thank you for having me on, Michael. This is my old stomping grounds, Saturdays at noon. And I'm hoping many of my loyal listeners are listening to Michael because it's a great show. Today, my question was about Space Force. And Michael answered a lot of it, but I had to do a little Googling here because he mentioned a nice thing about what it's been going 5 years now, so there should be some. But I can't remember seeing a recruiter. I've seen Army, Navy.
The Air Force handles that.
No, well, actually, I did a little Google search. Yes, a little Google search here. And it says find a local recruiter for Space Force. So I put a city of Chicago zip code in, 60656. Do you know where the closest Space Force recruiter is?
Where?
Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Oh, wow.
So if
Probably on the Air National Guard base up there.
Yeah, probably. But they give, it's a technical sergeant, and they give his address, his office address, his office phone number, and an email. So if you're interested in joining the Space Force, that's a good place to start. Just Google Space Force, and it'll take you right to the site. So that's interesting if anybody's interested in that. And also, the high schools, we're winding down half the semester here. We're getting close to the Christmas holidays. For those of you in high school that are contemplating going into the military, Michael spent, 28 years in the Army?
38.
38?
38 years.
I was 6 years in the Navy. I can highly recommend Army, Navy, Air Force, or Marine Corps, and also the Coast Guard, which I believe now is under Department of Homeland Security,
Yeah,
right?
so it used to be out there, Department of Transportation. Unless it's time of war, then it falls under Department of the Navy. So,
Yeah, but if you're thinking of Coast Guard careers, I believe they only put one or two from the area recruits in a month, so you might have to start waiting. So this is the time, if you're in high school, that you're kind of planning a military career, and there's a lot of benefits.
yeah, see, I want to caveat this right now, though. This is not a recruiting program. So a lot of, there's a lot of people out there that aren't too up on the military. And a lot of parents of these high school kids are not too up on the military. And a lot of schools, I know in the Chicago area, a lot of schools don't even let the military in there to talk to them. And so, no, we're not a recruiting program, although being in the service is a great thing. And Coast Guard, I don't know, the one or two in the area. There's the Coast Guards down at the MEPS, and they take plenty of people in. It's not as small as you would think. It's much larger than the Space Force. But there are so many jobs out there in the Space Force, the Air Force, the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, and the Coast Guard that anything you would want some practical life experience or training on, you can get in one of the services. And it's like 3 years. You know, I think the minimum dedication time now is 3 years to join a contract. Then you have a 5-year obligation after that, an inactive. That's like a recall. You go into the inactive reserve and your contract lasts for 8 years, 3 years of active service, and then 5 years where you could either go to the reserves, the active reserve, go to the guard, or just sit on a list. Oh, great.
Hello, welcome to the show.
Hi, I have a bit of a technical question. Are satellites subject to EMP like earthbound communications?
Yes, anything electronic that isn't properly shielded, because it's the transistors in there, all right? So if you magnetize the transistors where they won't turn on or off anymore, because it's just a switch, yes, no, on, off, a transistor, right? If you magnetize it, it doesn't work. Everything's working on transistors. So yes, they are, unless you shield them with enough lead, gold, copper, all right, to avoid that electromagnetic pulse. it's going to basically neutralize your transistors and shut everything down. However, that does not affect vacuum tube technology. I don't think they have many satellites still up there using vacuum tubes.
I would think not.
Yeah, but back in the day, all right, the Russians with their MiG-29, all right, that was all vacuum tube technology. So if you watch James Bond GoldenEye, when the EMP goes off and those two MiGs crash, that was wrong because they had vacuum tube technology in them. They would not have been effective.
Okay, just curious, because the atmosphere is somewhat required for EMP to develop.
Well, it's an electromagnetic pulse, right? So it's an energy wave. It's not a, you don't need atmosphere. It's an energy wave, so you don't need the, like a sound wave, all right? Sound wave needs atmosphere. It needs one atom or one molecule to bounce around and bounce onto the other to cause the wave action. But an electromagnetic pulse is an energy wave. So much like light, which is an energy wave, it goes through a vacuum. All right, so you don't need the atmosphere there. What you have with the atmosphere, if you have a chain reaction, right, when you have a nuclear blast, which is how you get most your EMP, right, with a nuclear reaction. So you have a chain reaction of all this energy that creates so much energy, it creates a massive electromagnetic pulse. But you can blow that up in space because it's going to chain react with all the very dense molecules of plutonium or uranium. That's why they use plutonium and uranium, because they're very dense. And once you have that chain reaction, they start splitting all those atoms too. But if you just had if you just split one atom in the middle of space, you wouldn't have a lot happening because there wouldn't get that chain reaction. But yeah, you don't need the atmosphere for the EMP. If there's a scientist out there that disagrees with me, please call in and let me know why you need atmosphere for an electromagnetic pulse.
Well, my thought was that it was required to produce the pulse, not to obviously distribute it.
You get, again, I'm not a super scientist on this stuff. I will have to research that. Whether you need it, because atmosphere, all atmosphere is gases, right? They're gases that surround the planet that are held in place by the gravity of the planet, right? And so you're saying that you need mass, you need actual mass to create an electromagnetic pulse. Well, you need something to create the energy, right? You need something to create energy, because the basic law, mass or energy doesn't you can't destroy mass or energy. You can only change their form. So you change energy into mass or mass into energy. E equal mc squared, right?
Right.
So when you create electricity, right? If you're using a generator, right? You're just moving through an electromagnetic field that causes a charge that moves through the copper wires that causes that charge that creates that energy. But what's causing the movement? Is the movement being caused by the atmosphere to turn this generator to create this electricity, right? Or is it being or is that movement from a diesel engine? So yeah, you're going to need some sort of mass to create that energy. But if you already have that mass there in space, you send the nuclear warhead into space, like halfway between the Earth and Moon, right? And it blows up, it is going to create an electromagnetic pulse because it's going to use the energy that it already has contained. It's like a candle, candle burns until it's gone, right? You don't need anything else to make that candle burn. You light it and it burns. Well, oxygen, okay. Okay, I correct myself. So
some of the technical stuff that I read indicated that a thermonuclear blast 200 feet over Kansas City would wipe out North American communications.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. I absolutely wouldn't doubt. Yeah, that's sure. You want to be close to the Earth to spread out that electromagnetic. But you're talking down Earth, down on Earth, right? But up in space, you know, the blast is going to go out in a 363 degree radius, three-dimensional radius all over, right? But then the Earth's going to stop some of it, so everything on the other side of the planet, all the satellites in geospatial orbit on the other side of the planet aren't going to be caught by that electromagnetic pulse.
Right. Yeah, the Earth would shield it.
Yes. But yeah, if you wanted to wipe out the earthbound stuff, yeah. That's, you know, and you know, that was, you know, I watched a couple movies, and if you watched Tom Cruise in what was the War of the Worlds, right? And remember, the War of the Worlds was written in what, 1890, right? That book was written 1890, or the story, I think it was a short story. So Tom Cruise is there, and the electromagnetic pulse from the aliens hit, right? And all these other cars go down, but the old cars with points, you know, with points, they ran fine. Or at least they started, you know, because that wasn't based on transistors. That wasn't electronic ignition. That was an electrical ignition that used a mechanical means to time the spark plugs. Yeah, no. So one of the things that Space Force does track absolutely is what the effects that would be. The other things that they're doing is they're focusing on how to defend against that. So one of the things why I want to say is one of the reasons Space Force was invented there is because all these things were under the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, all had little things, and they weren't kind of talking to each other. But not only that, it was such a small component. Like if you're an Army general and you're told, listen, you could have 1,000 extra tanks, or you could have this system for tracking satellites. You know, they're going to pick the tanks because they know tanks, right? And same thing with the Air Force. You could have, you know, a bunch of new, you know, Generation 5 fighters, F-35s and everything. Or you could have this thing that tracks and protects satellites. They're going to be, I'll take the fighters, right? Same thing with the Navy. You want a new ship or whatever, or do you want this? They're always going to go what they know, what their big slugger is, what their big power is, right? They're going to go with that. So pull that all out, give it to Space Force, and they're going to be focused on those satellites and tracking them. So when you give them their funding, they're going to be spending on that. They're not going to be spending on tanks and everything. They're going to be spending on their mission, essential mission. So let me see. We got Jonathan Carpenter. Hi, Jonathan. It's going well. Thanks for dropping a message down there in the chat. Did you? I'm sorry. Did I answer your question, sir?
Yes, I think so.
All right, great. It was a great question too. You know, and I will look up that, you know, if you need the atmosphere, but you know, like back in the days, we were taught that the Soviets would use, you know, there's 3 types of nuclear blast you can use. One is a aerial blast, much like you said, in the high atmosphere. And that is going to cause an electromagnetic pulse. It's going to wipe everything out. It's going to be a lot less property damage. Right? It's going to be a heat wave, electromagnetic pulse, a blast and everything, less property damage, less fallout. Then you're going to have a surface blast, which is going to be a lot of property damage and a lot of fallout because it's going to go up. It's going to pull up all the dust from the ground because it's blasting on the surface, throw that in the air, radiate it, and spread it all out. Then you have a subsurface blast, and the idea for that was to reduce the amount of fallout and radiation and just do the property damage. Like when they came out with that, I think we would focus on an aerial blast, right? And the Russians were focused on surface blasts to get the best of both worlds. I'm sorry, Russians. I'm sorry that I said Russians there. The Soviets. There's a difference.
Oh, yeah. Well, the amount of electromagnetic energy that they're predicting from a 200-mile up blast over Kansas City is 50,000 volts per meter.
Wow.
And
It'd charge a lot of cell phones, wouldn't it?
Yeah, if you've got a wire that's a meter long, it'll have 50,000 volts generated on it.
Yeah.
So,
well, that was the thing of the Tesla. Tesla created a Tesla battery. It's pretty simple. All it is a receiver to take radio waves and convert them to a charge. So, with all the radio waves in the air, you could eat. I've seen it on YouTube where they've made these things so you could charge your cell phone just out of the air. Just walking around, it just charges. Well, so to be able to harness that electricity back to be useful, that's an interesting theory. But yeah, no, nuclear weapons are no joke. They should never be used again. Never. In my opinion, under no circumstances justify the use of three things: nuclear weapons, biological agents, or chemical weapons. No circumstances ever justify that, because the far-reaching impacts of that are way beyond. Okay, so
well, the only area where I would slightly disagree with you is on nuclear weapons if they are used to blast a comet that's.
Oh well, no, okay. You're talking about using them as a tool. I'm talking about using them as a weapon.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Everything has a use as a tool, to help us. Yeah, a comet coming towards the Earth. I think the power behind that is way beyond what mankind can imagine. And I think if you took every nuclear warhead we had and aimed it at the comet, it would blink and still smash into the Earth. I don't think you're going to see the Hollywood thing like, oh, it's off course now. Well, if you could, the distances. With the distance, if you knocked it off a thousandth of a degree, and it's so far out in space, that means we have to get the rockets to get that far out, right? It's so far out there that you can knock it off just one half of its trajectory. It'd probably miss the Earth if you get it out there far enough. But, I don't think I think if a comet was coming at the Earth, it was meant to happen. I would just wait for it to, I would go get a bunch of beer. I'm sorry, I get a bunch of beer, get my yard chair, and just wait for it to smack in. We get hit by a comet, that's the end.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all your information.
Thank you, sir. Oh,
we're good. Yeah,
we're good.
We've got about 5 minutes left.
Come on, John. They got Jonathan Carpenter there. I was going to call in, he says, but come on, call in.
Those messages are coming through YouTube here?
They are, yes.
Yeah.
And Jonathan, what's he writing us? I can't read it.
He says, I was going to call in, but I don't know.
Come on, call in, Jonathan.
Yeah, we don't keep track of the phone numbers.
But what's interesting in your last conversation is how many people are influenced by movies and television, that they see movies like Armageddon or Deep In. And I'm not saying anything about the watchers. It's just that people take this as gospel.
Oh yeah. No,
they'll see a movie, and I'm glad you pointed out James Bond is fiction, folks. I mean, it's great. I enjoy it. I love the theme song. I liked all the James Bond actors.
You know how many cigarettes the character? What was the guy's name? That it escapes me, but he was a fictional character in a bunch of books first, and he would smoke. James Bond would smoke 60 cigarettes a day, 3 packs a day. He was a 3-pack a day smoker, and you don't see him smoking anymore.
Yeah, but people are influenced by films like Armageddon or Deep Impact, and they think a nuclear device can blow out a comet or meteor or whatever's coming at us. But the reality is, no matter where it hits the Earth, the damage. Look how much smoke we were getting just from those fires in Canada. I mean, the smoke was last summer. You remember this, man?
I do. Mm-hmm.
It was, for people like myself with asthma, it was devastating. And this is Canada. Anything happens in the world, anything affects the rest of the world.
Right.
Am I Am I not on target with this? Don't believe everything on movies.
Yeah, no, it is. Well, you have to separate reality. You have, in order to enjoy a movie, you have to separate, reality and separate from reality.
Fact from fiction.
Fact from fiction.
We've got a couple minutes left, and we do have a caller on hold.
Caller.
Sure.
Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
How you doing? This is Jonathan.
Hi, Jonathan. How you doing?
I'm all right, just hanging out.
Well, you enjoying the show?
Yeah,
You learning anything?
trying to.
Were you a veteran?
No, I'm just 38.
38. Yeah, well, I think they're taking them up to 41 now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you want to go in. Do you got, was your father a veteran?
No, one of my uncles was.
One of your uncles? Yeah, where did he serve at?
My brother was in, what was it, 89, Kuwait?
In Kuwait. All right. I flew through there once. I sat on the tarmac in like 120-degree temperature in a C-130 waiting to fly back to Kandahar, and then from Kandahar we're going back to Bagram. But yeah, that was I got off the plane and they gave us sandwiches and soda, and then we got back on the plane and just sat there sweating. Wait, there's no air conditioning on a C-130. Yeah, so did he enjoy Kuwait?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where's he now?
In Florida.
In Florida, okay.
Yeah, I was doing a little partying right now, so.
Well, it's Saturday. It's Saturday.
I'd like to hang out with you guys one day.
What? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. What do you do for a living, Jonathan?
Right now, I'm in between jobs.
What did you do before you were in between jobs?
I was at Burger King as a cleaner.
All right. Well, it's a job, Yeah, well, I hope you find another job. It's better to keep busy.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a job now. A B job.
What sort of job?
Oh, he dropped there.
Okay, good.
We got a little bit of time.
Jonathan there I think he was a little imbibed. I heard that last part. That was kind of rude. Please don't do that when you call in. Please don't.
Do you have another caller?
Oh no, we're good.
No. All right.
Oh goodness me. There we go. The jazz music kicks in.
So just so you know, I'll treat you with respect when you call in. But okay, so see, come back. How long I got? A couple minutes? Seconds?
45 seconds.
45 seconds. Okay. So make sure you come back next week, same veteran channel, same veteran station, same veteran time for the Chief Guard of the Republic Veterans Radio shout out, noon to 1 on WRMN 1410 AM, Fox River Valley Media Network. Our call-in number is 847-931-1410. You can also get the app for your phone, and you can also get you also watch us on YouTube Live, and check out my webpage at Psylink.net, PSYLINK.net. Thank you.